Welcome, everybody, to the Mind, Body, and Soul TV, coming to you live from our Denver, Colorado studios. Yes, it is the beautiful Rocky Mountains right behind me, and if I took that wall down, that's exactly what you would see. So thank you for being here, and we have a fantastic show for all of you this afternoon. I'm your host, Coach Steve Toth, the founder of Conscious Evolution Media, going on 13 years now. And we have a fantastic show for all of you this evening. Our theme for this evening is the heart and science of yoga, and who's going to be joining us for this entire conscious hour is Leonard Perlmutter. And he is the founder of the American Meditation Institute, and he's also an author, and we'll find out what else he does on the show. Welcome to the show, Leonard.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the invitation.
It's great to have you. I've been so open to have someone like you to be on the show because we have so many different interpretations of what meditation is, and I can't wait to hear yours. So before we get started, this is something that I've been doing on the show forever. If I take away your name, Leonard, if I take away you're an author, if I take away that you are the founder of American Meditation Institute, and all the other titles that anybody has ever given you, what's left? Who is really Leonard Perlmutter?
Pure consciousness, wisdom, bliss, and fullness. Having a human experience in time and space through a mind-body-sense complex.
Awesome. I wasn't expecting anything less. Okay. So tell us just a little short story about Leonard's background, and let's not start at birth because we don't have that much time, but just a summary of where you came from, where you've been. And by the way, he's joining us from upstate New York, which is a lovely place. I used to live in New York for like 3 years, so I know where it is. I've been there. So just give us we just want to be able to get to know you a little bit before we get into the nitty-gritties of meditation and yoga.
Well, as a young person, I've always been philosophically oriented. That's the way I have always seen the world. And I began at a very young age, teenage years, studying different religions and different philosophies, different spiritual paths. I studied my birth religion of Judaism, Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, Hinduism, Native American traditions, and that led me to the perennial philosophy and science of yoga. And through yoga, I began to see the thread of similarity and truth that was at the core of all spiritual and religious traditions. And to me, the science of yoga was very much analogous to an experience I had when I was a teenager, and that was in scouting. When I was a young boy, I was in the Cub Scouts, and then I was in the Boy Scouts. And gee, it was a great way to learn how to deal with life, and it taught you lots of practical tools. The slogan of scouting was always "Be prepared." Well, be prepared for what? Be prepared for whatever life was going to present to you. And when I found yoga science, it seemed a perfect extension of what I learned in scouting. It taught me how to examine my thoughts, to desire my desires, my emotions, my concepts, to examine them and determine which ones I plan to serve and which ones I plan not to serve.
Wow, amazing. So while you were doing that, I was a young communist in an Eastern European country, and I didn't learn anything. Other than at 12, I knew that I must go on a journey and figure out the secret of existence.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been a long journey. And I've done a lot of the stuff that you have done which brought me to basically the same thing, which is yoga. And yoga and also meditation connects me to who I really am.
Correct.
I don't know anything else that does that for me. Well, maybe massage. I found out about massage years ago that somehow I'm very sensitive, and touch connects me to who I really am. So
with meditation, you don't need anybody to do anything
yeah,
for
exactly.
you or with you.
Yeah, exactly. So I know now exactly what you just said, is I don't really need massage anymore, but I enjoy it. So
Of course, sure.
I still do it because it's a pleasurable thing for me.
Right.
So,
Right.
well, wow, that's fantastic. So I know that you wrote this book recently, The Heart and Science of Yoga, and you also the founder of the American Meditation Institute, and quite an organization. You have a lot of MDs, and could you just share with us a little bit about what's the purpose of the organization, and how are you making this huge difference in the world? Because you are.
The mission of the American Meditation Institute is to bring Eastern philosophy and join it with modern medical science. We've been doing that since 1996, and we have been certified by the American Medical Association and the American Nurses Association to teach physicians and nurses continuing medical education based on the core curriculum of yoga science, as I've been able to learn it and write about it in The Heart and Science of Yoga.
Wow.
Very, very fortunate.
That's fantastic. I know Bernie is on the staff there, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
I was amazed by that when I looked at that. I'm going like, wow.
Yeah.
So, so I, since I've been doing this for 13 years, I kind of consider it as a consciousness laboratory. And a lot of people have been talking about meditation. And so the question I want to ask you is, my experience is the majority of humanity out there, and I kind of broken down our experiences or my experience through the network. Like I talk about phase 1, humanity, phase 2, and phase 3. And in phase 1, people really don't have much interest in yoga, nor do they have interest in meditation, although yoga is becoming more and more popular. And so is meditation. But it's kind of interesting that I find that a lot of people are completely lost when it comes to, they think it's some kind of woo-woo thing. And so help us to explain really what are the major benefits of meditation and why people shouldn't be really afraid of it.
Well, as you indicated, Steve, meditation does something that nothing else can do. It introduces us to ourselves. Somebody once asked, is meditation similar to hypnotism? And the answer, of course, is no. The truth is that we're already hypnotized, and meditation dehypnotizes us.
Yes.
And in the process of meditation, we discipline our habit patterns, and we focus our complete attention in this tradition, in this lineage, on a mantra. Mantra is a word or a series of words containing the name of the supreme reality. And every tradition, spiritual, religious tradition, has mantras. They are sort of considered to be a perfect harmonic. And we impose upon ourselves that during the 1 minute, the 2 minutes, the 5 minutes, the 20 minutes of our meditation practice, that our complete one-pointed attention will be directed toward the mantra. And each time we listen to that vibration, and the power is in the vibration, it's not in the meaning, because everything is vibration, right? That's one of the great gifts of quantum physicists and physics today. They're teaching us that everything is a shimmering vibration of particles and molecules. And within this aggregate vibration, there are these perfect harmonics. And the more that we give it attention, three things happen. First, we experience love. Second, fearlessness. And third, strength. Love and fearlessness and strength every time we listen to these perfect harmonics. But that's really just the beginning. The more that I give attention to the mantra in seated silent meditation, I'm creating the skill and the tool of one-pointed attention. One-pointed attention is really the key or the doorway, the pathway to access creativity and wisdom and genius. It is through focusing our mental energy toward one object to the exclusion of everything else that opens us up to experience what yoga science refers to as the superconscious portion of the mind. I had never heard of the superconscious mind until I started studying about yoga. Certainly I heard about the conscious mind, and I heard about the unconscious mind. I didn't know too much about it, although I knew that I was aware of fear a lot of times, and I was aware of anger and judgment other times, and I was aware of selfish desires on other occasions. But the superconscious portion of the mind, that was a novel concept to me. But it's not so novel. We all have access to the superconscious mind and can have it 24/7 through our conscience. The conscience is known in yoga science and Sanskrit as the buddhi. It is somewhat of a mirror. It acts as a mirror. It's a function of the mind that can reflect perfect wisdom from the superconscious portion of the mind. Superconscious portion of the mind is the same portion of the mind where Albert Einstein saw mathematical equations, where Paul McCartney hears beautiful melodies, where each of us receives these wondrous, creative ideas on how to enhance relationships. Doesn't mean that I'm going to become a songwriter. It doesn't mean you're going to become a physicist or a mathematician. What it does mean is the more that we meditate and we develop one-pointed attention, we can regularly access the superconscious portion of the mind at any time of day or night to receive this wisdom that is within us, that is us. And that wisdom will tell us what is the thought to think, what is the word to speak, and what is the action to take now in this particular relationship that will enable me to fulfill the purpose of my life without pain, without misery, and without bondage. So in meditation, I learned one-pointed attention. I learned detachment. I learned how to create a space between stimulus and response. And in that space between stimulus and response, which is sorely missing in our culture, lies freedom. Freedom to redirect my consciousness toward the conscience, toward the buddhi, to access wisdom that is outside the matrix. It's beyond the conscious, it's beyond the unconscious. It's in the superconscious portion of the mind. And once the conscience accesses this inner wisdom from beyond the matrix, it reflects it back into the matrix. It reflects it back into our conscious mind. And I become consciously aware of discrimination and all sorts of creative ideas. So I create one-pointed attention, I create detachment, I create discrimination, and through this whole process, I am building the muscle of willpower. Those are tools that I can use in every relationship to enhance those relationships, to make them rewarding.
To me, sometimes the way I describe it is reclaiming the power that we have given away for different things.
Well, that's true. That's right.
And so I think I mentioned that to you, that I was born in a communist country, and I was very thirsty for freedom because I didn't have any where I was growing up. So I thought, for me, that America represented freedom. And now, several decades later, I'm learning that that had really nothing to do with freedom. So what I'm experiencing, and you just said this, and that's why I want to interject it, is I'm learning now that the true freedom is where I am currently at and where I'm going and expanding as a conscious human being, which is what I call the freedom, is it's within me.
That's right.
And I am connected to it, and I am living from that place. And that's how I don't have fear hardly anymore. I mean, once in a while it comes up, but most of the time it does not. I don't feel fear. And my peace is there, and my freedom, my true freedom from all the stuff that, because remember when I said phase one of humanity, they all worried about controlling the outside world, what's external from them. And I used to do it. It's very hard work.
Yeah, it's a killer.
Yeah, it's a killer. And now I don't worry about what's happening out there, because I'm learning that I'm creating it all, and it's from in here.
That's right. And so if
absolutely beautiful.
And if you can change your consciousness, you can change the consciousness of the whole, right? Because there's only one consciousness.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's absolutely fantastic, and it's taking me, probably 5 decades to finally get here.
Yeah. So I would like to just speak a little bit about the fear and the anger and the selfish desires that are still stored in our unconscious mind. You're right. The first great freedom, as we meditate, it is the freedom from fear. But that doesn't necessarily mean that we are void of fear. It doesn't mean that we're void of anger. It doesn't mean that we're void of selfish desires. And like fear or anger or greed, they're neither good nor bad. They are simply our creative energy in an improper form. Fear, anger, greed are contractive. They're debilitating. If we act thoughts, those emotions, the consequence that develops is going to be some form of physical, mental, emotional, or spiritual dis-ease or pain. And if we don't heed the lesson of pain at a low decibel level, the decibel level just gets louder and louder and louder. So we don't want to serve the fear. We don't want to serve the anger. We don't want to serve the selfish desire, nor do we want to repress it. Otherwise, we would become neurotic, and we would experience even more pain and delay the prospect of fulfilling the purpose of our lives. The most beautiful aspects of yoga science is that the fear, anger, and selfish desire, because it is our creative energy in an improper form, even though it cannot be created nor destroyed, it can be transformed. And that is one of the most empowering aspects of being a human being, is that when we have a conscious relationship with fear, anger, and selfish desire, we can facilitate the transformation of it into strategic reserves of a healing energy, an increase in our willpower, and an expansion of our creative abilities. We know that ice can be transformed into water, and we know that water can be transformed into gas. So, for example, if I gave you, Steve, 20 gallons of crude oil from Saudi Arabia, and I put it into your automobile, you'd be very upset because it would wreck your engine. Crude oil doesn't work in a combustion engine. But if I took that crude oil from Saudi Arabia and I sent it to a refinery in Texas and asked them to refine it into gasoline and then put it into your automobile, you'd be very pleased. You could drive around for 300 or 400 miles. It's the same with fear. It's the same with anger. It's the same with selfish desire. It's just that we have not been taught how to dance with these powerful emotions. And instead of serving it, if I can offer it back to the origin from which it came, everything has come from the one. Everything is a manifestation of the one. It's just that
it's all part of the whole, correct?
That's right. That's right.
So I want to bring in duality into this conversation, because you're already talking about it, but I want to have you focus on that. So this duality nature of humanity, is there a way beyond? Is there a way to live in this? And I'm going to use the word reality, which I don't even believe in. But in this reality, is there a way to live our lives without being stuck constantly in duality and having to choose one or the other?
I believe that yoga science has shown me a path how to do just that. And the key is service. In yoga science, we're asked to create a metaphoric bridge in our lives. You know, if we wanted to open a business, we would naturally write a business plan. Well, we all want fulfillment in life, but nobody has taught us about writing a business plan for fulfillment, except what I have found in yoga. Now, yoga means union. And what yoga does for me and for thousands of women and men throughout thousands of years is that it provides a template for basing my outer actions, meaning thoughts, words, and deeds, on my own inner intuitive wisdom. And the more that I can base my thoughts, words, and actions on that wisdom that's reflected by my conscience, the buddhi, and then actualize them, bring them into the world as service, allow my mind, body, sense complex to be the instrument of those thoughts, of those words, and of those actions, then I will be giving the best of what I have to the whole. And as the whole is benefited from that, so too am I, because I am one with that whole. And so service, for me, is the key for realization.
Fantastic. So you said this word many times, the word I am. So I'd like you to expand on that. So what is your interpretation of the word I am? Who's the big I and who's the AM?
Well, I think that the I am-ness is the doorway to the whole, to unicity. I believe that every form that manifests has an ego, a separate sense of self, and believes in that I am. So I believe that the bubble believes that I am the bubble. I am the bubble. I am the bubble. I am the bubble. Pop. Mm-hmm. And so this I amness, this beingness, is the only thing that any human being can say about themselves that's been true every single day of their lives. I'm tall now, but I was short. When I was a child, I was heavy. Now I'm thin. Some days I'm angry. Some days I'm compassionate and forgiving. Some relationships I'm fearful, and in some relationships I'm fearless. Sometimes I'm a teacher. Sometimes I'm a student. Sometimes I'm happy. Sometimes I'm sad. So all of those ways that I define myself, that are conceptualized in my name, Leonard. Leonard sort of represents all of these bundle of habit patterns that I carry around in this basket of my mind, my mind, body, sense complex all the time. But beyond that, the only thing that has never changed, that I can say with certainty based on my memory, is I am. That has always been true. And so for me, there is something about me from my earliest memory through and including today that has never changed. And so what I have read from the sages and these great seers is that the manuscript of our lives is not complete. The first few chapters of the manuscript is hidden in the unknown. That would be before birth. And the final chapters of our life are also hidden from us in the unknown, and that would be after death.
Mm.
And that's okay, they say. If we can simply concentrate and examine on the portion of the manuscript that we have in front of us, that is between birth through and including now, and look for something that has never changed, that is a doorway. And so that I amness that you mentioned, this beingness, this awareness that is within me, that is within you, is part of an ocean of consciousness. It's a cosmic soup of consciousness that is the background of all reality, into which gross and subtle objects appear for limited periods of space and time, with which we have a relationship, with which we must act, which bring about a consequence that can lead us in one direction or the other. So this I amness, this beingness that is within me, that is within you, that has always been true, based on our memory, is part of an ocean of consciousness, the background of all reality, into which gross and subtle objects appear for limited periods of space and time, with which we have relationship, with which we must act, mentally, verbally, physically, which bring about consequences. So right now, this mind-body-sense complex referred to as Leonard is a gross object appearing in your awareness, just as the mind-body-sense complex referred to as Steve is appearing in my awareness. And every relationship means the same thing. I have to take an action. Well, what is that action going to be, and what am I going to base it on? Am I going to base it on the power of the unconscious mind, simply because I see someone that is different from me, with a different body, different mind, different personality, and different habit pattern? Am I going to be swept away and hijacked by this dualistic perception that there is somebody separate from me, and therefore I must fear that I might lose what I have, or I might fear that I won't get what I want? Or can I annihilate the space between us? Can I recognize that you don't really have a name? That's Steve. That's a superimposition. Same as Leonard is a superimposition. I can let go of the name. And
yeah,
I can,
it's why I asked Leonard that first question on the show. I've been asking it for 13 years.
yeah,
I want to know who people think they are without all that stuff.
yeah.
And so this is very fascinating. So my question to you is, do we really have, are we really in control? And do we really have choice?
Well, I believe that free will and predestination are one and the same thing.
So where I'm at with this is that I can only prove this to myself, and I don't need to prove it to you or anybody that's watching.
Correct.
It doesn't matter.
That's right.
But what I'm getting where I'm at is that there is an expanded self of me that's running this show. Mm-hmm. And for a good part of my life, I've been fighting that expanded self of me, meaning that I was in a war with him. And he's been trying to tell me what to do, but I haven't been listening. So I'm now closing that gap, and I made him a friend, and I no longer fight because I trust that whatever he wants from me is what my destiny is. So how does that ring true for you, or not?
It rings perfectly true. It rings perfectly true. I'd like to present a concept to you, and that is the concept of inaction, 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 inaction. So if I allow my body-mind-sense complex to facilitate the thoughts, words, and actions that have the good housekeeping seal of approval of my inner wisdom, then I don't act. I am acted through. Okay? And that service allows me to live in the world, but not be of the world. Okay? And so from a yogic perspective, all yoga, all union between this dualistic human entity and the non-dual pure consciousness, eternal consciousness, wisdom and bliss. We are basically citizens of two worlds simultaneously. And the key to successful living, I feel, is to unite the two worlds, to take the wisdom of the transcendent spirit and bring it into the immanent world of the mind-body sense complex and make the two into one. And so yoga begins with an understanding of and a coordination of the functions of the mind. The mind is the key. The mind is the problem, and the mind is the solution. Right now we're hypnotized. The mind has hypnotized us into believing that we are a separate entity. We are an individual in a vast universe. That's a very fragile place from which to live one's life. It's very scary. And so the more
so let me interject something in here. But people talk a lot about, like in places like Boulder, Colorado, which is not far from me, and in San Francisco and other places where spirituality is much more accepted than anywhere else. They all talk about this oneness and how people can connect and be one, and that we're all one. And I don't see that to be possible until everybody by themselves takes care of this separation that we have created between our expanded self and this thing, this avatar thing. Until that's done, we can talk about oneness all we want. It's not happening.
But yoga science is not about creating a oneness for every human being. The supreme reality, no matter what name you give to it, must experience the infinite number of possibilities. That's one of the definitions of God, that concept. And so the supreme reality must experience the infinite number of possibilities. Now, you're talking about perfection. You're talking about pure consciousness, wisdom, and bliss, experiencing the infinite number of possibilities. How is that possible? It's only possible if consciousness willingly takes on limitations and sees through these lenses of imperfection. And so each of us.
But wait, Leonard, I feel that when we were young, each one of us, and I just speak for myself, that I bought hook, line, and sinker that I am a limited being.
Correct.
And I'm learning that I'm not
correct.
A limited being.
Well, you are and you ain't.
I'm both.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
And so let me just throw one more thing out, and that's beliefs. So where I'm at in my life right now is I'm getting rid of as many beliefs as I can that no longer serves me.
Correct. So
because I also figured out that that's where all the craziness comes from. So that's a very freeing process.
So our perceptions are skewed by our conceptions. These are these beliefs that you're talking about, but they're even stronger than beliefs. You see, it's written down to the cellular level.
We have become them.
Yeah. That's right. And so what yoga science provides us is a template to examine our concepts. And if the truth be known, we have a lot of faulty concepts. When we were children, we learned 1 + 2 is 3. But we also had teachers that taught us that 1 + 2 is 4. And we believed them, you see. And we have them stored in our unconscious mind. And in certain relationships, we use that faulty equation, that 1 + 2 = 4. And we hurt ourselves. So we need to examine these concepts, and we need to sacrifice them to make room for truth to come from the superconscious portion of the mind, so that we can reflect the perfection and the truth rather than the imperfection and the non-truth.
Very, very nice. So this superconscious mind that you're referring to, is that right here?
It's everywhere.
Or everywhere?
It's everywhere. And you know, very, very often we feel it in our gut before we can intellectualize it in our head, right? So it's everywhere. It's everywhere.
So you're talking about the source itself.
Absolutely.
The source.
That's right. Right. It's
And
part
we all hooked up.
that,
There's no question.
Right.
That we're all hooked up.
Right.
Okay.
That's right.
It almost works. My experience is it works like how we actually duplicated ourselves as computers and how networks work.
Absolutely.
We work the same way. It's amazing.
Yes.
The similarities that I see is like 100% the same thing.
Yes. We are a cell in search of an organ.
Well,
yeah.
It's amazing to be able to talk to you because I've been, it's you are speaking it so clearly of what I've been experiencing. It's like I'm having trouble now with words because there's no words that I can come up with that explains my experiences.
But there are, well, see now, English and German are languages about stuff. Right.
And we're trying to talk about things that are not stuff.
That's right. That's right.
And they are way beyond our five senses.
That's right. And that's the beauty of Sanskrit. Sanskrit is a language of spirit.
Yeah.
And that helps us. And that helps us to deal with the language of stuff.
Do you recall that movie that was made about Christ? That was all done in Sanskrit.
No, I do not.
And I can't remember the name of the movie right now, but it's about the entire experience of Christ. And the movie was done not in English, but it was done in Sanskrit. And when I was watching the movie, like I was vibrating from the beginning to the end. It's a fascinating movie, and the language Sanskrit very much appeals to me. And I try to research it and learn a little bit about it, but it seems really complicated.
But you don't need to know that much. You don't need to know that much. There are a few words, a few concepts that can provide a tremendous framework for creating a philosophy of life that will be very helpful.
Wow.
And I try to incorporate that in the Heart and Science of Yoga.
Oh, awesome. I was just about to go there. Do you happen to have the book by you that you could show our viewers?
Well, it just so happens.
It just so happens, but you know, it's an awesome accident, or what's the word? Coinciding.
Okay.
That's it. Fantastic. All right, so tell us where people can get that book.
You can get it at AmericanMeditation.org, AmericanMeditation.org, our American Meditation Institute website. You can get it at Amazon.com, all fine booksellers, Barnes & Noble, where all fine books are sold.
Fantastic. And so when somebody purchases that book and reads it from cover to cover, what's possible for them in terms of what they're going to be learning about?
They're going to learn how to experiment with the truth in every relationship. They're going to learn
with their own truth, correct?
Well, it is their own truth.
Okay.
That's right.
I just wanted to put that in because anytime I have people come onto the network and say that they have the truth, I start running.
Yeah, that's right. It's all about.
I had a few gurus, Leonard. I had a few gurus, and I ended up running, and it was a good thing.
Well, I have had a few gurus. One of the most important gurus I've had in my life was Elvis Presley.
Wow.
And this whole concept of guru, this universal force of light that dispels darkness, comes to us in every relationship. So Ayurveda talks about the fact that every form is a composite balance of space, air, fire, water, and earth, the 5 essential elements. But actually there's a 6th element, and that 6th element in every relationship is guru. And so when you have a relationship personally, like we're experiencing now, or secondarily through the media, someone or something will present a modeling for you. And that is the outer guru. And if the outer guru is in harmony with the inner guru, your own inner truth, then the outer guru is to be honored and respected and served in mind, action, and speech, and you'll be led for your highest and greatest good. That's why Jesus says, I am the way, I am the light. But there are
but
other...
it has to be, it has to resonate.
That's right. Yes, yes. Oh, the operative guru is always is guru within. Okay. So, for example, the case with Elvis Presley. When I was 10 years old, I fell in love with Elvis Presley. It was one of the first times that I learned how to meditate, because when I played an Elvis Presley record for 2 minutes and 30 seconds, I had no problems. I was just feeling bliss.
I have that today. I have songs and I have people
That's
that,
right. Yes.
that are my favorite, the favorite artists. And when I hear them, I'm not even on this planet.
That's right.
It feels so good. And I start feeling it in my body. Sometimes I even cry.
Yes. Okay. So because I loved Elvis Presley as a teenager, and I continued to give him my attention. I loved him when I was 20, when I was 30, when I was 40, when I was 50, when I was 60, when I was 70. I love him today. Because I loved him, I gave him my attention. And because I gave him my attention, I began to observe the kinds of actions that he took, many of which were in conflict with the inner guru. So on a very basic level, in part, the life of Elvis Presley was lived to teach me on many levels what not to do. And that I am very grateful for. I don't have to touch every burner on the stove to know whether it's hot or not. So we have these guideposts for us, both of what to do and what not to do, but always the operative guide is guru within.
So Leonard, is it possible that Elvis Presley is your creation?
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right.
See, I talk about these things on my shows, and people think I'm crazy. And
no, that's right. That's right. And
you're the first one. You're the first one in the last, I would say, 6 months or a year, that doesn't think that what I'm just said is absolutely crazy.
If I did not, I would have either liked him or not liked him, but it would have been a passing thing. But I have given a tremendous amount of energy to Elvis Presley, for example, and he taught me many things. Many of them have been how not to live my life. And so even our parents, many people condemn, oh, my father was no good, he never loved me, my mother, blah, blah, blah. And so, everybody's trying the best that they can. And parents too, in every relationship, they're teaching us both what to do, and they're also modeling for us what not to do. Are we a good student? Do we honor those teachers and those teachings, or do we criticize them? Does the ego get in the way?
It's usually the latter.
That's right. That's right.
And that's why a lot of kids don't want to have anything to do with their parents.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's right.
And it's very, very interesting. So I get a lot of questions also in terms of meditation. Is there a right way or a wrong way to do it?
I believe that there is a way that is more powerful and is more helpful than other ways. Meditation is simply a one-pointed focus of attention. You could claim that eating an ice cream cone with complete one-pointed attention is a form of meditation. watching a beautiful melody, falling in love with a beautiful man, with a beautiful woman, with a beautiful child, going up in the Rockies and being at one with nature is a meditation. But only meditation, seated silent meditation, as is taught through yoga science, and the lineage from which I teach is the oldest continuous spiritual and meditation tradition on the planet. It is the origin of every religion. It is the same practice that Jesus had. It's the same practice that Moses had, and so that's the practice that I teach.
So I'd like to just share the way I do it.
Sure.
And I have no idea how you teach it, but this will be good. So the way I do it, and this has taken quite a few versions before I got to this, but this is like 100% congruent with my inner guru, the way I'm doing it. So the way I do it is I allow all the feelings that I have, and that means my body, that means my mind, my thoughts, the noises that I hear during meditation, to come and then to go. Like, I'm not trying to get rid of them, but I'm being aware of them, and then I watch them go. And then I keep doing that, and before I know, I am in a place where there is none of that stuff. I get to a special place that I can't even describe by words. But it feels so good. You know, when I was referring to it as mother's milk, it's like, it feels so comforting. And I feel like what everybody is talking about in terms of happiness and joy and fulfillment, those are the best words I can use, the feeling I get when I get to that place. And how I get to it is by not resisting any of the stuff that's going on with me. And then I realize that, and sometimes I open my eyes, and sometimes, most of the time it's closed. Sometimes I open my eyes, and I try to look behind my eyes, and I'm noticing that there is no out there and there's no in here. And that, when I get to that place, is when, and I'm not even sure that I'm describing this with the proper words, but
yes, you are. Yes, you are.
But when I'm noticing that there is no out there and there's no in here, magic happens. That's the word I was looking for. Yeah. This magic occurs, and I just want to be there, and I just want to stay there forever and ever and ever. And I feel that it's infinite. It's definitely infinite. There's no beginning of it, and there's no end of it.
So that's totally valid. The meditation that we teach from this lineage is a template for attaining what you have attained and experiencing what you have experienced. So we are a mantra-based lineage. Okay. So what's interesting about mantras are that in addition, as I mentioned earlier, that they generate love and fearlessness and strength, mantras, just like salmon that swim upstream to spawn, and just like pigeons that fly home to roost, mantras return to their source of origin. Well, there's only one source of origin.
Yes.
It's in Sanskrit, it's called Sat Chit Anand, eternal, consciousness, wisdom, bliss, and fullness. Okay, so let me just repeat a mantra. I'll repeat a mantra from the Hindu tradition. My first mantra that I had, that I took myself, was a mantra used by Mahatma Gandhi, and it's called Rama, R-A-M-A, and it means the highest ideal that is within the human being. And if I might just repeat the mantra just a couple of times to give you an idea of something. So just listen. Ra, Ma, Ra, Ma, Ra, Ma. So as you meditate and give your full attention to the mantra, no doubt thoughts will come, images will come, sounds will come, but you impose upon yourself that the mantra is your leader, and you give your full exclusive attention to the mantra. To anything else, any other image, any other sound, any other thought, you honor it, you witness it as a manifestation of the divine reality. You willingly sacrifice it back to the origin from which it came and redirect your attention back to the mantra. And the more that you can give your full one-pointed attention to the mantra, you begin to understand the nature of the mantra. You listen very intently to the vibration, and you notice that the mantra comes from the silence. And you notice that the mantra returns to the silence.
Mm.
Just listen one more time.
Mm.
First is the silence. And then Ra, Ma. It returns to the silence. And when the mind and the mantra become one, the mantra returns to the silence. The silence is the ocean of peace, bliss, and happiness. It is us. And because the mind and the mantra are one, the mind returns to that source of origin with the mantra. And the mantra takes you and leads you beyond the boundaries of thinking. It leads you beyond the boundaries of feeling, into the silence, into the unknown. And when the mind and the mantra go into that unknown, go into that silence, what exists is pure consciousness, observing consciousness without an object. And that's the experience that you're relating.
Mm. Right. I couldn't put it in those words, but it's right on.
Okay.
And by the way, when you were doing the mantra, I had goosebumps, and I also felt my body was resonating. I felt movement in my body, like I was like shaking. Not shaking, but
right. Well,
maybe
that's the power of the mantra. You see, the mantra. First of all, this mind-body sense complex has an aggregate vibration, an aggregate harmonic, and a considerable amount of it is ignorance. Okay, so this perfection, this name, washes over us. Okay, and replaces the ignorance and motivates us in our lives to be willing to let go of old habits. This ignorance, to let go of the fear, to let go of the anger, to let go of the selfish desire, not to be defined by it.
Wow.
So we are attracted to that vibration,
Yeah.
just like we're attracted to the vibration of a singer, because it touches us at a very elemental level.
Yeah, which is its frequency. It really
That's right.
is.
It's frequency. That's right. That's right. Right.
Wow. So let's go back for a second. I just want to touch on American Meditation Institute for a second. Besides, because I noticed that when I was on your website that you guys are doing a lot of other things, a lot of education, a lot of conferences. Is there anything that's going on right now that you want to mention?
We're going to have a conference Saturday, a health and happiness conference, where we will bring different speakers together, physicians. Bernie Siegel will be with us, talking about love as a healing power. and that's going to be in Albany, New York. Every year in October, we have a physicians conference certified by the American Medical Association, where physicians can earn 30 continuing medical education credits. It's a terrific opportunity for physicians to come together to learn this core curriculum, to learn how to meditate, to learn how to breathe diaphragmatically, to learn how to coordinate the functions of the mind, coordinate the ego and the senses and the unconscious, and to use the Buddha, use our conscience to guide our thoughts and our words and our actions. Like all people today, physicians are in a tremendous amount of pain. There is a phenomenon called physician burnout.
Yeah, totally burnout.
Physicians are reaching out to compensation like heroin, suicide. They're contemplating leaving the medical profession. They're in pain, and when they come to this conference, it's like a new lease on life, because if you change your perspective, you change your experience, and that's what yoga science does. It helps you to change your perspective. It's no longer this dualistic perspective on everything. You have a different perspective. You have a holistic perspective. It's like, I think one of the greatest profound shared experiences of humanity, if not the greatest in the history of the world, has been to see the Earth from the far side of the moon. We don't understand the profound changes that brought into our consciousness just to see this blue marble floating in space from the far side of the moon. And when we can change our perspective on the same everyday challenges, all of a sudden we start to see creative ways on how to deal with them.
Fantastic. So, Leonard, a lot of scientists are talking about this right now, since you brought up science too numerous times, that this whole experience that we're having could be a holographic experience, meaning that it isn't real. It is created by us. What do you think about that? Because when I talk about this stuff, again, people think I'm crazy.
Well,
reality. Let's talk about reality. How does it plug into this conversation? Like, what's real?
Well, again, let's talk about Sanskrit. The only thing that is real from a Sanskrit perspective, from a yoga science perspective, the only thing that is real is that which never changes. Anything that changes, subject to change, death, decay, or decomposition, is considered unreal.
Wow. So that science, the yoga science, supports these scientists that are talking about that this experience that we're having,
yes,
it's not real.
Yes.
And matter of fact, science has proven that everything broken down to its smallest particles, once you look at it that small, it's not even there.
I heard something once, Steve, that will bring a smile to your face, even more than what I see right now.
Okay.
And that is, if you took all the space out of the body, all the space that's in the body, if you took it out of the body, what remains could fit inside a peanut shell. So who are you and who am I?
Yeah, that's right.
Is this real? But Shakespeare was a yogi, right? Thinking makes it so.
Right, and I do a lot of work in corporate America, and I'm just amazed because that's part of my laboratory. Corporate America is part of my consciousness laboratory. I'm amazed every day how everybody believes that what's going on, it's absolutely 100% real.
That's correct. Well, that
Totally.
goes back.
100% sold. They are completely 100% sold.
So that's what I talked about before, that we're hypnotized.
Yes.
We listen to this mind speak all the time, and don't forget, we're animals. And so herd instinct is very powerful. And we don't want to be on the periphery of the herd. We want to be in the center of the herd, because we don't want to be, it's like the weak zebra that's on the periphery of the herd is the one that the lion will kill.
Yeah.
We don't want to be that animal.
Yeah, but those are all concepts, and those are all concepts of the mind.
Yes, that's right.
Social agreements and lies.
Right. Right. That's right.
Like, I sometimes just laugh because you know how people just hate Mondays, and I'm going like, so this is what I say to them. I'm going like, so do you know who came up with the day
Right.
Monday? Like,
Right.
where the hell did that come from?
Right.
Like, and all of a sudden we just said, okay, well, so today is Monday, but says who? If I ask my cat, do you know what day it is? She doesn't care.
That's right. But the important thing is that we're citizens of two worlds. Okay, so we are a citizen of the unreal, but we are the real.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We are the supreme reality, having a human experience.
All of it. We have to
All
own
of it.
all of it.
We have to own all of it. It's not
Yeah.
separate. That's dualistic itself, to think that it's separate.
Yes. As soon as, and this is what's interesting to me about choice, is why I asked the question choice. Because as soon as we choose something, we're stuck already, aren't we?
Oh, absolutely. We concretize that, and that's the power of thought, and the need to discriminate and vet these thoughts, because once we give it our attention, that embryo of a thought turns into a word, which is a more concrete form of the embryonic thought, and the more attention, it creates an action, and all of those create consequences.
Oh, and I was just going to say something about that word, consequences. That my experience of consequences is it creates loops.
Uh-huh. Well, that's right. That's right. So every relationship that we have is the consequence of a previous action.
Yeah, go ahead and judge it, and once you judge it, you're gonna judge it from a place of consequences, like what's going to happen, and it's going to happen again.
That's right. That's
and
right.
again and again and again.
But that's why it comes around. So it's remember Groundhog Day, the movie?
Yes, yes.
We have to change our perspective on it and what we do with it in order to change our experience. Otherwise, it's just going to keep on going around and around and around and around. And that's that cycle of birth and death and birth and death and birth and death.
And I call that Disney World because it's all the rides. You know,
yes, right.
People love to be on all these rides.
Yes, they do.
So please, Leonard, tell our viewers about your website and how they can contact you. Anything else you would like to share? We're kind of coming up to the end of the Conscious Hour. This has been absolutely fascinating.
Well, for me too. I really appreciated it. The American Meditation Institute was born in 1996. It's where I do my teaching, and from that teaching, the book, The Heart and Science of Yoga, is an outgrowth. So please visit us at americanmeditation.org. We have online courses. We teach an ongoing weekly course on the perennial psychology of the Bhagavad Gita. We teach about yoga psychology. We have different, during the year, in another week or 10 days, we're going to be having a seminar on the teachings of the Compassionate Buddha. We have, during Christmas time, we talk, and Hanukkah, we talk about the lost years of Jesus and how Jesus gained his ministry by studying in the Himalayas in India. So just join us at americanmeditation.org. And if I'm not asking people to believe anything that I'm saying, all I'm asking them is, are you curious enough to experiment in the midst of every relationship with your own truth? Base your outer actions on your own inner wisdom, and just see where it leads. For me, it has led to better health, better happiness, more security in life, loving, nurturing relationships. And so I offer it to everybody with that in mind.
Yeah, thank you, Leonard. You've been absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for being on the network and visiting us. And I hope you come back soon. I definitely would like to visit you if I'm ever in the New York area.
That would be wonderful.
Which doesn't happen often, but it does happen time to time.
Good.
And you've been absolutely fascinating, and I really enjoyed my own truth reflected back to me from you, and I value that very much.
Likewise.
So thank you for being with us, and this has been a fantastic show about the heart and science of yoga, which is your book. Thank you again. Have a good night, and we'll see you guys tomorrow on ConsciousEvolutionMedia.com. Thank you.
Thank you. God bless you.
Have a good night.
You too. God bless you.